It is official. Everybody on Wall Street has a beef with Beyond Meat. Bernstein downgrading the stock this morning from outperform to market perform, saying the valuation is way too high and the stock is too volatile. And with that, not a single firm on the street recommends buying the stock right now. It is stuck in limbo with no buys, no sells, and a whopping 8 holds. The stock has nearly left, orbit since its May 2nd IPO, up almost 500% since going public. The analyst behind today's downgrade joins us now. Alexia Howard is senior research analyst at Bernstein. Alexia, great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
You're still confident about the growth prospects of Beyond Meat.
Absolutely.
Where should it be trading at right now?
The trading range, I mean, it's been astronomically volatile, as you mentioned just now. When we've looked at comparables, you can't really look within the food space because all the old, tired legacy food companies are just not growing. So you have to look outside of the sector. We looked at Pure Circle out of Europe. That's the stevia company that's based over there. We also looked at the cannabis companies, looking at Canopy trading between 13 and 17 or high teen range of EV to sales. And we basically looked at where the stock is trading today for Beyond Meat, and it's simply feeling a little bit too stretched. It's trading at 31 times sales at the moment, and that feels a little bit overdone.
And that should be more like mid-teens is basically what you're
we
saying.
Basically, we fixed our target price today at $123, saying that's 17.5 times our forward sales estimate.
So when you're thinking about the long-term prospects for Beyond Meat, what is the total addressable market that you're thinking of?
Well, we're looking at about $40 billion over the next 10 years. And the way that we're getting to that is saying, look, the meat market in the US is about $270 billion. If you look at the way that the nut-based milk market developed, so almond milk, when it took over from soy milk, that's taken about 15% of the market over the last 10 years. If the plant-based meat market does the same thing, that would give you a $40 billion market in about 10 years' time.
So if you're going to make the comparison to a nut-based milk market, I mean, nut-based milk makers never traded like Beyond Meat, nor will they ever. So even if they were able to, capture a sizable share of that total addressable market, does that really earn them any sort of a premium multiple?
Well, I think we had soy milk around for a long time, so those nut-based milk makers were only ever growing at a high single-digit rate. We're talking about a company that's growing in the treble digits. It's more than doubling. Last year, it did $88 million in sales. This year, it's expected to do at least $210 million. And we had the news this morning that Tim Hortons is rolling the breakfast sausage product out across Canada. So there's a lot more rapid, much more rapid growth here.
So how big is the moat that this company has? Because I know their direct competitor is Impossible Foods, not a public company. But can other food companies come in and reproduce this? Because with the nut-based milks, it seems like you just press a bunch more almonds and you got more milk.
Absolutely. I mean, I could throw a few almonds into my Vitamix and I'd have some almond milk.
Right.
This is very different. I mean, Beyond Meat has been around for 10 years at this point, and they only launched their first product in 2016. So this has taken a long time to develop. And I think as you look at the plant-based food market as opposed to the plant-based beverage market, it's much more technically difficult to get right. So the moats are going to be bigger. Having said that, what that probably means is that you're not going to get private label products and a gazillion tiny little companies trying to break in because the R&D costs are simply too high. But what we are seeing is that Tyson and Nestle, companies with deep pockets, are trying to get in. We've got Nestle launching a product with McDonald's as we speak in Germany, for example.
I'm curious about how you think about whether or not Beyond or any of the competitors that may exist in the future can actually capture that total addressable market. Because if you think about them, I mean, this is what I've run into in terms of the people who are interested in Beyond Meat. They're vegetarians looking for another alternative. There are people who are concerned about the environmental impact of eating meat. And then there are the meat eaters out there, which is probably the biggest part of the pie at this point. But in order to capture those meat eaters, don't you at least have to make a product that is nutritionally comparable or better or cheaper, or even at par in price? I mean, those seem like tall orders because if you actually compare the nutritional value, it's not clear to me that it's actually better for you, and it costs more money. And I understand there are going to be people out there. I know there are people out there who are saying, oh, but you don't kill a cow, you don't, have a big carbon footprint, all that. I get that. But still, these are very real choices.
Yeah, and I really don't think it's particularly a health and wellness play right now. I think these products are still fairly heavily processed, but it is an animal welfare play. It is a climate change play. I mean, the resources that it takes.
So that market is much smaller then.
Possibly, although I think you have a millennial generation that is genuinely very, very concerned. I mean, you look at the uptake and the kind of sales lift that Burger King is talking about getting as they put these products into the market, there clearly is an interest in. We're also seeing just generally across the population, people trying to reduce their consumption of red meat somewhat and trade into things that are somewhat different. So it's not really a health and wellness play, but I think it's for other reasons, other values.
Okay, Alexia, you're going to have to leave it there. It's a great conversation. Thanks for coming by. Alexia Howard of Bernstein, who was the last standing bull on Beyond Meat. Steve Grasso, where do you stand on this?
I agree with everything that you just mentioned. It's if they're loaded with preservatives and they have 5 times the sodium content of a burger, I'm just waiting for that campaign from the meat industry to start saying that these substitutes or plant-based meat substitutes are not healthy for you. So I think they're going to have headwinds there. You're not going to have the same headwinds when you look at almond milk. Almond milk was you made a clear choice. It was not an unhealthy choice for you, and I think you're going to have a lot of people saying that these are not healthy choices. But I'd rather be with a Tyson that can pull multiple levers and has deep pockets versus being in this stock.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, I think in order for this thing to really take off, I think it needs to be the healthy alternative, and I'm not convinced that it is. I mean, I've done all the research on the opposite diet, which is the paleo diet. Hunter, gatherer, fish, steak,
It doesn't
veggies,
fit for
right?
paleo, and it doesn't fit for keto, and those are 2 major diet
Correct.
trends right now.
They're non-processed foods, and when you look at the blood work before and after, 30 days apart, I mean, the blood work gets better on paleo. I don't know that that would happen with Beyond Meat.
Almond milk, paleo, I don't know what's happened to this show. All right, so let's just go back to when Alexia talked about tired old food companies, that's the thing that worries me the most. How about tired old McDonald's that suddenly got into fresh beef and kiosks and things that are hipper and more? I mean, like, Kraft has no choice. There's nothing that keeps these big tired old food companies out of this market, whether this is meat disruption or not. They are best positioned. There's no way I pay for this multiple.
I don't know. I've had both. I had almond milk this morning, and I had an Impossible Burger.
And stretchy pants on the way to work,
Mr. I might even be wearing them
Mr.
now.
BK.
But the point is, I actually think there's more to this stock. Now, maybe it comes back. It's going to be incredibly volatile. Maybe you get a chance to buy it at 125. But there's a portion of the population right now that is curious about these new products. Everybody who tries them says, hey, they're not that bad. I feel better after I eat them. So let's call them beyond curious folks. I think there's still a growth factor there.